Mm, 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 mm.
Let's go with it here, better.
All right. I think we are ready to rock. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Give people a chance to get in this junk first.
Get in it when you get in where you're fitting in.
Just don't let that ain't the same team. I knew about the team. We can
Yeah.
start about.
Uh,
Let's see, it's
yeah.
10:35. We can start in about a minute.
Cool. Now you know how to rewind.
You know, he said, I'm here, Mike and J Rock.
Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, let's go ahead and get
Uh-huh.
going.
Let's get it.
All right, so looks like the name of this. It used to start out as Carlock's commentary, and I think J
Mm-hmm.
Rock gave it the name of Second Take.
Now, I think that was Solo. That was Solo.
Solo gave it
Shout out to
Second Take.
Solo.
Shout
Shout
out
out
to
to Solo for
Solo.
second take.
Second Take. I don't know who's Shannon and who's Skip, but we'll just make our own
um,
character. Who are you?
well, that's two different networks. They'll be undisputed.
Ah, yes, undisputed. My bad, John.
I keep up, yeah. Well, I'm definitely
My
Stephen A.
bad.
If we second take
Nah.
now.
All right, let's
Oh
just
well,
say I'm
damn.
Shannon. Let's just say I'm Shannon and you Stephen A. We're gonna combine the two shows. I
Let's
left.
get it, bro.
All right, fellas. So we in the second round now. We had a very, very interesting series last night. It was the last series everybody was waiting on. Spurs and
Mm-hmm.
Pelicans. It went 7 games.
Mm.
Pelicans was up 3-1 in
3-1, big
this
dog.
3-1 in this series, and they blew a 3-1 lead to the San Antonio Spurs, who will who the fifth seed will now see the number one seed in Seattle this upcoming round. So, how you want to kind of get this cracking, call out? Do you want to start with the second round talk, or do you want to kind of go over some of these previous series right quick, or how you want to do it?
We ain't really gotta go over the previous series. I mean, everything else was kind of outside of that one series. Everything else was pretty much a blowout. You had
Yeah.
everything 4-0, 4-1, 4-2. But I'm gonna take a good 30-second take on this series last night. The reality of it is this. Shout out to San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs had a model that they wanted to go with, playing a small ball lineup, and of course we're gonna definitely address that when it comes to his next series against Seattle SuperSonics. And the thing about it is, in this going into this series, he had to make a little adjustments after the first couple of games. He went down 3-1 and had to make a little bit more adjustments, by definitely going to sit there and take McCullough out and giving Jakob Poeltl a little bit more minutes, Samanic, those guys, and kind of see exactly how they can play to have that advantage. And the reason why he had an advantage is because New Orleans Pelicans traded their advantage for a disadvantage. To get rid of Porzingis at the deadline for a combination of Fred VanVleet was the deciding factor to me in this series. Seeing the fact that you decide to play into the San Antonio Spurs' hands by having a smaller point guard being guarded by a former defensive player of the year, two-time first-team defensive player of the year in Dejounte Murray, and playing smaller balls with having guys like OG and John Collins who can match up very well against Zion, and which Zion became a non-factor those last three games because on the last three games, Zion Williamson, of course, he had a big game, 30 points, first 17, but his production started to drop a little bit. But in game 7, he was figured out. 9 points, 10 rebounds, and the deciding factor,
Mm.
Zion Williamson, you know what I'm saying? A guy who was pretty much double digits the entire series.
Yeah,
But
he
game
was.
7, San Antonio, he got shut down. He got
Yeah.
absolutely shut down and obliterated. And because the game plan, the fix was in. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you playing a small ball, and of course he gave us a lot of flack about him. We call him number four, number four. You were right. We were wrong. You weren't number four. Clearly you like number 6 or 7, because clearly you took a huge step back when you made the trade for Porzingis, got rid of Porzingis at deadline, because Porzingis would have made a huge difference next to Zion, because you weren't able to space the floor. Everything was like, okay, all I gotta do is stop Zion and Brandon Ingram, or let them guys get in and stop everybody else. And he had the perfect game plan. He struggled early on, but to finish three straight wins. I shout out to San Antonio Spurs, New Orleans Pelicans that I like to do in this upcoming offseason.
Yep. I mean, I have to agree. This is something we talked about early last week too with this Pelicans depth. You know, they not only did they get rid of KP, but I think they lacked a lot of depth. Mike Carter Williams was their third leading scorer in these
Jesus
playoffs.
Christ.
I mean, you went from
Jesus
it being
Christ.
a KP BI Zion to a BI Zion MCW, and Van Vliet went 0 for 16 in Game 7. This was your key piece in the KP deal. So, and there's nothing wrong with Jackson Hayes. I think Jackson Hayes is a good overall player, but I'm not sure if I just don't think he would have fared well in any matchups moving forward in these playoffs as your sole main big center. Lonzo surprisingly was not as good either from a scoring perspective. In the playoffs, Lonzo only averaged 6 points, 7 assists, shot 27% from three. So also that was surprising to see too. I mean, that was the lowest he's averaged since the league started. He averaged 8 in his first season, 8 in the second season, 10.5 in the third season. So a large drop off right there too. So I think overall, give the Spurs credit. They were down 3-1. I think at that point they were counted out. One thing I'd like to call out with the Spurs, they had some key guys step up. Trey Jones stepped up, third-year player. He averaged 17 a game for them, third leading scorer. Musa Cisse, 11.5 points a game, 4.5 rebounds. The Memphis Tiger, he had a hell of a series for him also.
Yeah, Cisse was definitely a difference maker.
Yeah, he was a big difference maker in that series. And shout out to Murray and Walker too. They elevated their games. You know, Murray averaged 26 a game, Walker 24 a game. I mean, those are both increases in their averages, including Murray with a big 43-point game in Game 5, which really turned the series. I think that that kind of elevated him into another category, as a star player. So, an up and coming star player. So. Big shout out to them Spurs too. So let's kind of get started on these second round projections, Colin, or
let's go.
Analysis. So where we want to start at? We want to start with Charlotte Wizards.
Yeah, get that out of the way.
All right, let's start with the Charlotte and Washington Wizards. So I like to kind of go through a little stats, and I'll let Carla kind of do his analysis. But the two biggest things that stood out to me between Washington and Charlotte, like I mentioned in the last broadcast, this probably gonna be the highest scoring series in some sort of way. It's gonna be fast paced. I don't know if it's gonna be a lot of scoring. I know it's gonna be fast paced though. Bradley Beal averaged 46.8 points a game in the first round. 46.8 points a game in the last round. I mean, 46%
shooting.
On 54% shooting. I think Charlotte has the guys to match up with Washington. Charlotte is definitely determined, to move forward in this through this second round and try to compete for a title. But I do want to take a quick look. We already kind of went through the Hornets numbers earlier. Jalen McDaniels right now leading them in scoring, 33 a game. LaMelo, 28 a game. Klay, 25 a game. KPJ, 21 a game. This Wizards team, they did look really good under Popovich against Brooklyn. A Brooklyn team who was without, their general manager. But Bradley Beal gonna be something to deal with. And Terrence Clark has also been a key piece for them, averaging 21.5 in the playoffs. Brogdon doing well, 21.5 a game, 10 assists too. So Brogdon coming in averaging a double-double. But if I had to, just knowing the experience of this Hornets team, the fire that they got, they went to the championship year 1 and lost. They came back year 2 with a step back, and so I think year 3 they ready to try to prove some points. So I mean my first prediction on this series is that Charlotte wins in 5.
Yeah, I got you on that. I know you talked about Terrence Clark, man. Rest in peace, Terrence Clark, man. Your life lives on through these Washington Wizards.
Yep.
Man, shout out and prayers out to his family, man. I couldn't imagine what they went through and what they're yet going through, like real talk. But on a video game note, in regards to this, man, like I said, this should be a fun series. I think the thing about it is these are two guys who are known for frantic and erratic play. Of course, I will say that the Hornets have definitely improved over there, especially on this version of 2K. Definitely more in control, but at the same time, is more of a real fickle style of play. It's gonna be weird, man. It's gonna be fun. I'm with you. I don't think it's gonna be much defense played. It's just gonna be like a lot of up and down basketball, real all-star type of atmosphere, and two elite scorers. But I really think it's gonna be able to get the defensive stops on the other end. This team is, I think, a pretty good matchup for the Charlotte Hornets because Jamin Daniels, like you said, leading scorer, 6'10", small forward, and I think he said, hey, look, I got Denny Avdija. He's 6'9", 225, not known as an elite defender, but one of those guys, he uses his length well. He had 3 blocks against Brooklyn, 1 game, 2 blocks. And he's a guy who I think his sole purpose is really going to be him and Terrence Clark and also Hachimura. I really expect to see a lot of Jeremiah Grant this series as well. He's a guy who I think could match up a guy who plays good defense and is a guy, out-ball pass trapper. Like, you're going to need that in this series against Jay McDaniels, Klay Thompson, those guys, because he's going to really, try to use his size and athleticism on the perimeter to kind of, be the difference maker in this series. And not only mention that, the rebounding I think is going to be essential in this series. The Wizards are not a great rebounding team. And I think the one thing about the Hornets, second chance opportunities to be huge in this with, Chris Boucher, Valanciunas, and Azubuike, and, and Kai Jones, them guys, he got some guys who won't get down there, Even LaMelo Ball averaging 6.3 rebounds a game. If he was on the Washington Wizards, he'd be tied for second leading rebound on the team. So that's going to be huge to see in the playoffs as far as in this particular series because Malcolm Brogdon being your leading rebounder at point guard that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough in this series. So second chance opportunity is going to be my highlight for the Washington Wizards if they want to have a chance to win this series. But I definitely think that I'm with you. I think, honestly, I'm be a little bit more candid. I think it's going to be a sweep. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to lie to you. I think the Hornets going to go and get in and get out and call it a day.
Okay. Sounds good. I also like to highlight these two teams first and third in scoring in the playoffs right now.
Sheesh.
Hornets averaging 150 points a game. Wizards averaging 144.8 points a game. But point differential, Hornets 30.5 in point differential. So, and the Wizards are only 3.8. So that's almost a 30-point difference right there in games won versus games lost and how many points you've given up. So that may be a telling story of the series right there. Okay. Sounds good. All right, what's next? We want to hit the
I picked the first one, you picked this second one. It's all you, I heard. Let's go.
Okay. Let's go. We'll go west. Let's go to Memphis and Denver. 2-3.
Okay.
And then we'll go back east and then finish out with the one. Seattle and Spurs. Maybe. Okay. So you want me to go?
You talking about, okay, so I'm going to start this. I ain't going to let you make you toot your own horn. So this is going to be definitely a fun series. These guys have, last year, if I'm not mistaken, you guys played last year and you knocked him out in, 5 games?
Yeah, I think so. 5.
Yeah, 5 games, you know what I'm saying? And the Denver Nuggets, of course, said in that series that the difference maker, and I quote, if Bo had been healthy, it would have been a different series. So guess what? Bo is healthy. And Bo is playing like, hey, hold my beer. Because if I'd have been in this series, we'd have been in the Western Conference Finals, having a chance to go against the finals against the New York Knicks. Because Bo is having an amazing year this year in these playoffs. 28 points a game, 7 boards, 3 assists, a block on 75% shooting. If I had to guess, I would think by far he leads the playoffs in field goal percentage. And if not top, and especially probably for field goals attempted. If not, he definitely got to be top 5. But as far as field goals attempted, I think what Bobo averages 14 attempts a game and shooting 75% from the field. Even though he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he definitely has the most field goals attempts in that top 6. So that's a huge deal for him as far as his efficiency, and I think that's going to be a huge staple for him. And I think Jaren Jackson and Mo Bamba, them boys, they're going to have their hands full. I think Bobo is definitely going to be something that is going to be a difference maker for them. But Memphis says, okay, let me switch it up. We got the depth. And that's one thing that the Denver Nuggets do not have on their side. They're just like last year, they are extremely top heavy. Right now, if you look at their leading scorers, you got Bobo, of course, you got Jamal Murray, MPJ, and their fourth leading scorer is Landry Shamet, and everything else is kind of just guys playing. I mean, literally. You got DeAndre Jordan, Skylar Bitch, Justice Winslow, Miles Turner, those 4 guys. He only has 9 guys scoring. Period. I mean, point blank, period. Just them 9 guys. So that 9-man rotation is going to be cool, but from a fatigue standpoint, when them guys go out there and you got to deal with Thibault on defense with MPJ, you got to deal with Jaren Jackson, Bo, and then, Jamal Murray, I think, Zach LaVine with his athleticism, Ja Morant, who's definitely a much improved defender this year with his length and athleticism and quickness, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He got some boys he gonna throw out there on that perimeter to try to slow those guys down. And I think another guy we'll probably see a lot in this series with Memphis is Jalen McDaniels. You know what I'm saying? A 6'10" wing, him and Greg Brown. I think you're going to see a lot of different guys who could definitely play and be a difference maker defensively to try to throw different looks at MPJ and Bobo and them boys to really kind of slow them guys down. And I think it's going to be really depth can be a big difference maker in this series. I think Zach LaVine, when he left the Chicago Bulls last year, he's having a pretty good first round series. He averaged 22 points a game, pretty much, and shot 57%, 56% from 3 on 10 attempts a game. And so that's going to be a huge deal because we know the Denver Nuggets have a set offense. They want to get to their looks, get to their spots. And I think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to try to blow that up, make him take bad shots and have to make him trade those 2s for 3s, trade those plays for lack of progress. And I think that's one thing that's going to be a huge deal. And if I had to sit there and say my series prediction just off the wham, honestly, I got the Memphis Grizzlies coming out in 7 games. I got a 7-game series. I think it'll be a long one. I think the Denver Nuggets have, I think Bo is definitely going to be huge. Him and MPJ, they're going to be huge. But I think at the end of the day, the Memphis Grizzlies will come away with this series, especially with home court advantage. I definitely think they're going to win in 7 games. Memphis is 7.
Huh. Sounds good. I'm not going to give a prediction on my own, so.
That's cool.
All right, I like it. All right, you pick next. We going either going to Seattle or we going to New York?
You know what? We're gonna go and cover. We're gonna go and cover the New York Knicks and Cavs. We're gonna go there.
All right. So I'll rock with the Knicks Cavs series. So you got 2 teams that dominated the first round. Cavs dominate, and it was user series at that. So that's another interesting tidbit. Both of these users are going to the series already with some, experience from the previous round dealing with users. Cleveland beat Orlando in 4. Knicks beat Chicago in 5. Look, the Knicks are the defending champions. But I also think the key matchup in this series is going to end up being Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard. If there's anybody that can stop Kawhi, I think it's Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, he has all the tools he needs. He averaged 33 in that first series with against Orlando. So CK said niggas down playing MVP runner-up Murray. So Jimmy Butler right now is he's averaging, he had 14 assists. How many assists he's there? I didn't even realize that. Jimmy Butler averaging 11 assists a game, 33 points. 62% from the field. Overall, man, this guy, This guy's is ready to play, and we all know how Jimmy Butler is. We know Jimmy Butler's a competitive player. This Cavs team also has John Wall, Aaron Gordon. They have a lot of talent on this team, a lot of athleticism, a lot of defenders. But where I think this team may struggle with against the Knicks is on the 3-point shooting. So if we look at the 3-point shooting right now, New York right now is fourth in the league in the playoffs right now. 42.7% from the field from three, shooting 47 attempts a game, making 23s a game. It's only 4 teams right now in the playoffs making 23s a game right now. Cleveland, on the other hand, is shooting 33.6% from three, 32 attempts a game. Cleveland wasn't that great of a shooting team in the season either. However, I'm expecting, this series to be whoever going to be able to put their imprint on the game first, whether it's the Knicks and their shooting and the way they play, or is it the Cavs and they try to mess the game up and make it, grind the game out with their defensive players too. So looking at right now, Cleveland has been scoring a lot though. I will say that there was a high-paced game where they played Orlando last round and they were scoring 150 a game. And Knicks are averaging 145 a game right now. The net rating right now is pretty similar too. Differential is 24 right now for Cavs, 21 for the Knicks. But I will say, if I had to give my final prediction, I have to say, man, Knicks gonna win this one in 5, I think. Mainly because I don't think Cleveland has the offense against this Knicks defense. I think, Orlando's defense, it wasn't that great in that series. And I think this Knicks defense is a little bit more in tune. They're a little bit more experienced. Kawhi right now is still the best player in this series. That's one thing I always like to say. If you got the best player in the series, that always gives you a good chance, at any series in this league. So Kawhi's averaging 26 right now. But I think at this point he's been kind of coasting in some games. Like last 2 games, he had 18, 16, and 9. In the final game against Chicago, he had 20 points. But we know what Kawhi is capable of, and I think we're going to see a more aggressive version of Kawhi in this game. I also like to point out the biggest thing in this matchup, I think, is going to be the center spot. The Knicks got Mitchell Robinson, who is averaging 13.5 rebounds a game. I also have Thunmaker, who will be coming in off the bench. And I think this Cavs team, while they have a lot of depth on the perimeter at the forward spot, I'm not sure if I'm thinking Nick Claxton and Garuba can, out-hustle. But they do have Cantor, but I'm not sure if those 3 guys can out-rebound Mitchell Robinson and the other guys that this Knicks front court has right now. So I think I think these games are going to be close, I will say, though. I just think the Knicks have the ability to pull these close games out when it comes down to it. But it'll make an interesting series. I would give it 5, maybe 6 for the Knicks.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Now we on to our last and final series on the Spurs. Tim Duncan, it was interesting in his post-game press conference last night. He said that, hey, we're on a revenge tour. And I was like, okay, Timmy T, let's talk about this revenge tour. Meaning, hey, last year they got put out by the Pelicans. Guess what? They got revenged it. Look, them Sonics, they didn't put them out before, I think the year before last. Boom. He said, I got work to do. So this series right here, the 1 seed versus the 5 seed. The Seattle Supersonics lost last year in the finals. They made some huge adjustments this year by acquiring Trae Young. Shy moved to off ball. Still plays a lot on ball. They got rid of their starting center last year, and Jared Allen. Was it Jared? Yeah, Jared Allen. And then now they going with Nerlens Noel, Willie Cauley-Stein. Similar bigs, modern bigs. But they kind of offset that. But they got Christian Wood, who is a stretch 4 who can play the 4 and 5 spot. But the biggest thing was Jaylen Brown. Having Jaylen Brown, having that true go-to guy, through and through, and a true two-way player can you're gonna have to guard the guest, send your best player for him on offense, and he gonna guard the best player on defense. And I think that's one thing that he brings to this team. And I think it's gonna be a huge. So with this series, one thing I want to highlight for one is the 3-point shoot. Okay, we know the Sonics are a team that's gonna definitely kind of get those threes up. But here's the thing about it: in these playoffs, the Seattle Supersonics are making. I ain't even gonna talk about attempts yet. They're making 27 threes a game. Okay, 27 threes a game versus in that first round, even in 7 games, the Spurs only made 12 threes a game and only took 28. So pretty much the Sonics are almost close to doubling as far as attempts, and they definitely almost triple if it refers to makes. And definitely shooting a higher field goal percentage at 53% compared to the 42% with the San Antonio Spurs. And one thing about this particular team, both teams are going to run their offense. The Sonics are a team that's going to definitely go up, get up and down. They're very good defensively. Point differential, they first in 35 points, and point differential only allowing 104 points a game. But the San Antonio Spurs are definitely a defensive mind team. They hang their hats on defense. They're going to get up and down the floor. They're going to attack you on offense, and they're going to bull rush you on defense. Those guys, OG, Murray, and them boys coming to play. They're not going to sit there and be no slouch, and they definitely not going to lie down easily. So I think in this particular series, it's really going to be who can really execute on the offensive end. I think both of these are very defensively sound teams. But if the Sonics get rolling from the perimeter, it's going to be a long road for the San Antonio Spurs to climb back. I mean, the San Antonio Spurs, they win 7 games. So those boys going to be a little tired, a little fatigued. They played last night all the games. So, I think that series probably going to likely kick off tomorrow. But he going to need that extra day of rest because them Sonics been waiting around ready to play. So I'm curious to see how that's going to look up. And you look at it right now, they have 2 30-point scores in Trae Young and Jaylen Brown, both. Trae Young averaging 31 and 12. Jaylen Brown averaging 30 points a game. Shot averaging 25 points a game, 25, 5, and 4. And like I said, one thing they did take a step back is rebounding. Jared Allen was a huge contributor on the boards last year, but now it's more of a collective thing. Noel averaging 8.5, Colin Stein 8.5, Christian Wood about 7, and Jaylen Brown and Pokusevski 6 respectively. And one thing the Spurs had to make adjustment to in that first round was playing more big. I think that's something they're gonna have to probably do a little bit to try to get advantage on those boards, because Jakob Poeltl averaged 10, Collins averaged 8, OG 5. Musa Cisse was very good, but he's not the best rebounder. So I was curious to see how he plays in this series, how many minutes he gets in this particular series. But in this series, I think it's going to be fun. I think Dejounte Murray against Trae Young is the matchup I'm definitely want to highlight. I think Murray's going to make it very, very difficult to Trae to be a 30-point scorer in this series. Extremely difficult. I expect Trae Young honestly to take a step back this series. I don't think he's going to be as effective if Dejounte Murray has anything to say about it. So if I had to make a series prediction, I think this is going to be a damn good series. But final predictions, I predict that these... before I make my predictions, Des, what do you have to say? Did we do our predictions at the same time?
Okay. So I agree a lot on what you said, especially on the threes. I also think, a lot of that kind of has to do with Spurs playing a user. They played the Pelicans. Sonics played the Mavs. They played the Mavs, who was a much easier opponent too. So I think with the Spurs being the defensive team that they are, it's not gonna. I think you're gonna see the Sonics make a lot of threes. You think you're gonna see them shoot threes and take threes. But overall, I think Spurs are gonna do a much better job in defending them too. I will say that looking at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Spurs were 8th in defense for the playoffs. They were also one of the better defensive teams in the league in the season too. And so I think like you mentioned, the biggest thing is going to be how that big situation works out. Right now, I think the Spurs, they can go small, or they can, bring in Jakob Poeltl, or they can bring in Cisse as a starting 5. So they do have the size. It's just whether or not when they're going to decide to utilize, or if that's going to be an issue for them, moving forward. But I will say this as well. Free throws. Spurs are really good at getting to the free throw line. Um, just like the Sonics are good at, attempting more shots and
Mm-hmm.
getting open looks. Spurs were fifth in the playoffs at getting to the line, shooting. Well, wait a minute. Let me pull this one up instead. Yeah, they're fifth in the league at getting to the line, shooting 80% from the free throw line. Um, the Sonics are last in the amongst playoff teams at free throws. A lot of that could be them, attempting more threes in their first round series. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out in this series when it comes to getting more calls. So if Spurs are able to slow the game down a little bit more and can get to the line and do the things that they normally do defensively, this could be a pretty long, drawn out series.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be good. And these two teams haven't met since the Trae Young trade either. I think Seattle prior to Trae Young was, even more dangerous at a point, was and to an extent, just because they had Jared Allen as a rebounder, and we all know
Mm-hmm.
the GOAT Buddy Hield. We know what he's capable of.
Shout out to
So,
Buddy Hill.
I think at the same time, this Sunny's team is really good. Um, but it'll be interesting to see how they fare in who is going to be one of their first toughest matchups post Trae Young trade. Um, so,
Mm-hmm.
so those are my thoughts.
All right. So, series prediction. What you got?
Man, I think
This
I
the
got
hardest
it.
one to predict
I know.
for me.
I think I got it going. 7. I
Okay.
think I got it going 7. At least 6, but I'm gonna push it for 7. Um, I'm gonna push for 7, and I think if I had to pick, man, I think Sonny's gonna take it in 7.
Okay. Okay. So we ain't always gonna agree on this one. I'm actually gonna take the Spurs in 7.
Okay, okay.
First thing we ain't agreed on. Let's
Yep,
go.
I like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So what you
Let's
think
get it.
is the deciding factor in that game 7? Over.
Um, the deciding factor in all game 7, the Burrow.
Okay, okay. I like that.
That's gonna always be the deciding factor. The Burrow. The Burrow is the deciding factor in any 7 game series. Because when it's down and out in desperation, I'm not taking all these threes. I'm not running the play. I'm gonna put you in the pick and roll, and I'm finna Burrow. That is league wide. That is not precedent to no particular user. Now, I don't think about you got some teams who do it from the opening tip to the end of the game. But nah, most guys, you know what I'm saying, they gonna try to do it. But if it ain't working, guess what? I'm a Burrow. So I expect that's gonna be interesting because I think in your particular series, I think when Bowl get the barrel in game 7, it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
so, but then the Ja and Zach LaVine bird hold my beer. So it's it's just how things work out, man. But overall, in all seriousness, though, I think this is gonna be a good second round. I like the matchups. I think everybody who's there deserves to be there, and I would say that. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of teams that if you didn't get there, you need to figure some shit out. I'll just keep it a stack. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see what's up.
I like it. I like it. Hey, if anybody got any questions, we got a few more minutes. Let us know.
Send your questions
But
right now.
outside of
Look
that,
at CK. First of all, them just this Christopher Kelly shit. Uh, you saying you run your sets regardless. That's fine. But if your set is broken, you're going to barrel. Take it as you want to. If you run a play and your play breaks down, you're not going to force a three-point attempt. You're going to drive with whatever player that is. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Bol. Accept it for what
hmm
it is. Because it's not
hmm
just a Chris Kelly thing. That is a Akuno Echols thing, a Michael Smith thing, a Jay Carlock thing. The list goes on and on. Nobody's going to have a set break up and then with 10 seconds left on the clock going to try to run another set and then get a shot clock violation.
hmm
Be real with yourself.
I know. I'm already expecting that triple threat barrel, CK. So
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm
just accept it for what it is. Like,
accept the
damn.
barrel for what it is. Boy, that
Any
boy
other
Mike
questions?
said. That boy Mike said Embiid and KP was seen in Seattle this weekend. Boy.
I love it, Mike.
All right, fellas. So I'm sure I know Charlotte, Washington gonna get kicked off today. New York, Cleveland,
Uh-huh.
y'all getting kicked off today?
Yeah, first game should tip off. It's probably in the 2 o'clock hour.
Okay, okay. I think Seattle, San Antonio is tomorrow. I know some scheduling conflicts there tonight. Not sure
Mm.
on my series with CK, but I'm free for this Grizz game, CK. Free between now and the Grizz game. So if you
Right.
free, let me know. If not, we can play tomorrow. We'll start it tomorrow.
Yeah, what it is. All right, man.
All right, we appreciate
Second
y'all
take.
tuning in. Second
We
take,
out.
we out.